This is the Bold Moves Podcast, where real people share the decisions that changed everything. Hosted by Matt Torres.
All right, so we are back with the Bold Moves Podcast, and I've got a very special guest. I've got Mr. Nate Strickland. Now, Nate is a private personal chef, which is very cool. And I just want to give you an opportunity just to kind of say hi and, introduce yourself.
How you doing, Matt? Like you said, I'm Nate Strickland. I'm the executive chef and owner of AZ48 Catering, which is kind of the global or the umbrella part of our company, and then Experienced by Chef Nate, which is our private chef side, which I do all the in-home cooking for.
Okay, very cool. And it's funny, you actually came recommended by MJ. MJ's a sales shark, as we all know. He's a pretty cool dude. But you guys were playing golf together, and I guess you guys mentioned the podcast, and you wanted to jump on. And I appreciate you coming out and getting on the show. It's a pleasure to have you on here and start talking about some of the stuff you do.
I appreciate you having me. As like I said before, this is my first one, so a little nervous, a little newbie, but looking forward to it.
Cool. It's all good. So just kind of give you and the audience a little breakdown of what we do on the show. So Bold Moves Podcast, we talk about bold moves that we take in our life, like risks that, sometimes they turn out great, sometimes they don't, but we kind of just talk about really like the good, the bad, the ugly, how they made us and how they helped us grow and how they helped our business, and, have an opportunity just to kind of talk about the business too. But so I kind of just want to get into it and just kind of talk about, your business and how we got there, and, talking about what is one dramatic or pivotal moment in your life that just kind of sticks with you, and something that just really made you just kind of like stop in your tracks?
Well, I think for a lot of people, COVID, especially in the food business, COVID, changed everything. The restaurant industry took a ginormous hit. The catering side and private chef side took an enormous hit because people weren't having gatherings. Companies weren't hosting events anymore. So it just sends shockwaves, with restaurants shutting down and us not being able to do anything. You kind of get stuck and you're like, well, what do I do now? I can't do anything. I can't cook for anybody. And that's my livelihood. That was my business. And I had, people that relied on me and depended on me. And it was a very tough time and very scary time.
So did you start doing the personal chef stuff before or after 2020?
Long before. Yeah. So I've been a chef for quite a few years. Okay. And back in where I'm from, Wisconsin, and back there I did worked in restaurants, ran kitchens, did some catering and private chef work out there. And then when COVID hit, I had to make a big pivot.
Okay. So when COVID hit, like what kind of pivot did you take?
So Wisconsin, I found myself in a unique situation with Wisconsin because Wisconsin decided that not only were they going to sort of do a lockdown, they went full out. I mean, they just shut the state down. You couldn't do anything. The gatherings were like 20 people or less, and they were actually fining people. If they found out you had 21 guests in your home and one of your neighbors or whoever wanted to rat you out, they were fining people. Not just businesses, but actual regular folks were getting fined for having friends over because it didn't meet the state standard. So Wisconsin took it to a whole new level. And I was at a point where I had no choice but to look at other options. And my mom, who's lived here for 25 plus years, said, "Hey, Arizona's wide open. Your kids are grown up. Why don't you move down here?" And it didn't really take me too long of looking at it and thinking about it. I'm like, yep, okay. And I just shut everything down back there and packed up and moved down here. Wow. December of 2020.
Wow.
Started over, like completely from scratch. No name recognition, no business, no idea of the market, which is extremely scary. I had no time to do any demographic research or whatnot as far as this area is concerned. So I really took a bold move, as you would say, to to pack up and move and come down here and try and basically start again from nothing.
Wow. So Wisconsin, is that where Governor, is that Tim Walz, or is that
no, Tim Walz is Minnesota.
Minnesota?
Yeah.
Okay. I always get the
we're right next door, and we have a very similar one. Or Wisconsin has a very similar governor in Tony Evers. Used to have Scott Walker, who was a great governor as far as, he became famous for busting the unions up back in like 2016, 2017, somewhere in there. And but no, they have a different style of leadership up there now, and it has not been friendly to businesses, especially small businesses.
Yeah. Wow. That's wild. So coming out here in Arizona since 2020, and then is most of your business, is it like high-end people?
Sure.
Like in the Valley? Or?
Yeah. I mean, to be able to hire catering, the catering side is a bit more affordable, but the private chef side is a little expensive. It's basically having a restaurant come to your home, and having all of the same luxuries and features, but not having to go out. You're not waiting on a reservation. You're not, having to wait for your drinks from the bar. Not everything is right there. So, it's a little bit more on the higher end side. We are definitely not the highest priced private chefs in the area, but I'm, I consider myself middle of the road. But yeah, so I would say the majority of our clients are Scottsdale, Paradise Valley, but I have several here in Gilbert, Chandler, Mesa, some of my regulars. But, a lot of our business, and this really shocked me when I started here. I never thought of this. And actually, my first job was kind of funny if we get to that. But it's a lot of tourism. It's a lot of bachelor and bachelorette parties, people coming in from out of state. Phoenix is a big destination for that. And then, of course, we get spring training. We get the Waste Management Open. All these. The Super Bowl was here. That was a great week.
Yeah,
that was a great 2 weeks. The National Championship is coming here. So there's all these different events that are constantly happening here, especially in the colder months. Colder to us, but warm to everybody else in the world. There's so much tourism that comes here. That has been a big part of my business, which has been great. And I never saw that part coming.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. You mentioned it kind of like your first job. And I was kind of curious, like, how did you transition into the chef business? I mean, what were you doing before?
I was military. And before that, I was actually a deputy sheriff with the Milwaukee County Sheriff's Department.
Oh, wow.
I did that for a couple of years. Then 9/11 happened. Shortly after 9/11, I joined the military and spent some time there. When I got out, I was, as much as people think the military prepares you for work in the real world, it really doesn't. In some cases, it does. But I was military police, wanted to work on a police department, but I had some, or go back into the city police force. Had some issues with my back and my knees and whatnot, and wasn't going to work out. So I went back to school. I drove a semi for a while I was paying my way through college or subsidizing my way through college. The military paid for pretty much all of my college, but you still got to pay to live.
Yeah.
So I was driving a truck for Harley Davidson for a while, running local runs every day, and then going to school at night and online and whenever I could fit it in. And I got my bachelor's degree, then my master's degree in IT security.
Really?
Yeah. So I did IT for a few years and was bored beyond my mind. I liked the work. The work was great. I liked, using my mind and whatnot. And it's a strong point for me, but sitting behind a desk, sitting in front of a computer all day, from a guy who came from law enforcement in the military, sitting down does not work really well. Yeah. So I needed to be on my feet. I needed to be moving. And my stepmom and I, who she's a big influence in my life for food, and she's her family's from Sicily, so she's a true Italian. This woman can cook anything with nothing. I mean, it's amazing. She can just grab stuff out of the fridge, out of the cabinet, and makes an amazing meal. And she truly inspired me. I cooked with my grandmas when I was younger, so I had a little bit of a background with it. I've always liked doing it, but never really thought about pursuing it as a career. Mm-hmm. And she talked me into going and taking a couple of culinary classes just to break up the monotony. And so I did, and I kind of fell in love with it. And I left a very nice paying law enforcement, or excuse me, IT job to start over and be a line cook in a restaurant, and just worked my way up.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, that's crazy. Like the IT security part. So that's because there's some similarities. 'Cause I didn't do IT security. Because I was in the military too. I'm in the National Guard, and like my first position for after commissioning was a signal officer.
Okay.
And so I had to go to Fort Gordon and learn like the IT signal stuff, which I was really basically just managing, wasn't really doing stuff, but I still had to get my certification, and it was boring.
Yeah.
Did not like it. I got it, but I just didn't really like that part of it. But I like the software development part.
Okay.
So that's kind of
and I think that part would have been even more boring for me. The IT, the security stuff I like because I got to do a little investigative stuff.
Yeah.
But like just writing code or doing anything like that, I'm like, no, I couldn't. That would really have. I would have made it as long as I did if I was doing that. I would have checked out.
Oh, that's fun. No, that's cool. Like, yeah, I always liked to cook and stuff. Never went the professional chef route, but that's cool that you did that. So I'm curious, like, what was the risk that you took, and why did it matter so much to you at that time? Like, if you think about like the one risk that you took in your life, like what was it, and what was on the line? Like why were the stakes so high?
Well, I think it was a big risk of leaving the comfort of my hometown where most of my family was. All my friends at the time were, and starting over, coming down here to Arizona, knowing literally one person, my mom, I'm sorry, two people, my aunt and three people. My aunt and uncle were here too at the time. They're, have since moved back to Wisconsin, but that's scary. And when you're, I was 44 when I did that, 43 when I did that. And, I'm not a kid anymore. It's scary to leave the safety and the comfort of the things back home, to start over in a place that you don't know. I don't know the area. I'm concerned about 115 degrees in the summer and how I'm going to deal with that. Am I going to miss snow? Yes, I do miss snow. But it's a risk from the fact of, can I even survive here with, can I start a business here, or can I make a business successful? I've done very well back home. I know that market. I know everything about it. I don't know this, it's like stepping on Mars in a sense, cause it's just untouched place for me.
So like, what did you do when you first got here? Like, how did you jumpstart your business?
So this is almost a little embarrassing. I wanted to learn the area, and I wanted to understand the area better. So at first, I took an executive chef position at a restaurant in Scottsdale. I knew a guy who knew a guy who knew a guy kind of thing. And I went into work for this owner who is also a chef. And any chef in the world knows that the last person you ever want to work in a restaurant for is a chef owner. They're the worst people to work for because they want to micromanage everything. They want to own the business, but they still want to get completely involved in the back of the house.
Yeah.
And you can't have two executive chefs. You just can't. They can't coexist, or very rarely can they coexist. So you need to be able to have that separation. So we butted heads a lot. It just was not a good fit. He had a great restaurant. And God, I can't remember the name of it now. It was named after his daughter, but he unfortunately went out of business not long after I had left, which maybe that was a blessing in disguise, I guess, that I left on my terms. And it was unfortunate because I really wanted to make that work. I hadn't been working in a restaurant environment in a while, so I was kind of excited to get back to that because there's some fun part of that, the speed, the pace, the high pressure environment is something I'm familiar with from my earlier backgrounds of law enforcement and military. So I like that part of it, but it just unfortunately was a bad fit. And then I met another person who offered me the executive chef position at Superstition Springs Golf Course for their restaurant. And I went in there and I tried, and the place was, I don't know if I should be putting this out there, but the place was not in good shape as far as cleanliness. It needed a lot of work as to get it up to what my standards are, which are, they're high, but I don't think they're anything above what the market should, or the industry should be. And they wouldn't give me it was at a point where it couldn't be done just by us. We needed to bring in a company to do a thorough hose down of this whole kitchen. It was bad. And they wouldn't give me the money to do that. It wasn't even that much money. It was like $1,500 or something. I'm like, I almost wanted to pay for it out of my own pocket.
Yeah.
And so there was some things going on there. It's owned by a larger company, and it became another situation where, okay, there's no path for me to succeed here. So I said, okay, I can't do this. You need somebody that you can just tell how you want this run and not how it should be run. And I won't work like that.
Yeah.
So, I'm still was kind of blind to the area, kind of blind to the whole Phoenix market. So this is the embarrassing part. I started driving Uber. I'm like, what better way to drive all around this city and learn kind of, the type of people, that you get in your car, or that you're delivering something to, than to, meet them firsthand and kind of see the areas. So that's where I started learning Scottsdale a lot better. I had I knew of Scottsdale. Everybody knows of Scottsdale, but I didn't know the ins and outs of Scottsdale and kind of, what we're looking at here, because there's some serious demographic differences throughout Scottsdale.
Yeah.
South Scottsdale versus North Scottsdale.
Yeah.
Paradise Valley, which sneaks in there. I mean, and then when you get way up to the higher North Scottsdale, like Carefree.
Oh yeah.
Area, or now that's where all the athletes live, and some of the other famous folk.
Yeah.
So it was good to learn that, and Phoenix as well. And people think Phoenix and just think, don't go to the Avenue side, but there's actually some really nice areas of the Avenue side. You just have to be on the right part of the Avenue side. So that was important, because when I get a lot of requests, knowing where these requests are coming in from can help me understand of what they're going to be looking for before they even ask me what they're looking for. So that was good. And then I finally just slowly started my business up, and like, let's see how this works, and started getting a couple requests in, did a couple jobs. And it just kind of carried on from there. And I just started doing more and more advertising. Yelp was a big thing to get me some early work. And then it just kind of took off, and now word of mouth has been great. Just started a new social media campaign, which is, exciting.
Nice.
So we're going to see how, we've been growing very, very fast. Summers here are tough, but, because tourism is down, but, now we're getting into our fun season.
So do you have like a team, or is it just you, or how does that?
It's primarily just me, because I don't do large events. I don't want to do anything major. Well, I kind of cap it at about 150 people.
Okay.
I'll do bigger for some of my regular customers. I did a wedding for about 170 for a family that are very good customers of mine that I love. And I build a lot of personal relationships with my clients. So it's kind of nice. So I did it. They had an emergency wedding, basically, because somebody was one of the two getting married was very ill. So they kind of threw together a wedding really fast. And I said, absolutely. And we did it in one of their backyards, and for about 100, I think it was 160, something like that. Did a beautiful Italian dinner. They were thrilled. They loved it. And but generally we keep it smaller. Sorry, I get off track a little bit. I try to keep things smaller, because my kind of motto is quality over quantity. I'd rather do smaller with amazing food, with, everything being fresh, everything being outstanding, than just doing food for the masses.
Yeah.
It just too much gets lost there between the time it's cooked, the time it's served, things sitting around waiting for, 200, 300, 400 people to come through serving lines.
Yeah.
It just, the food gets lost in that, or the quality of the food gets lost in that. So So the private chef side, it's mostly just me on the cooking end of it. I do have a person that works for me from time to time who acts as my sous chef. He's a good friend of mine and he does great work. And we have a great rapport in the kitchen. So he knows what I'm doing. I understand what he's doing. He knows when to not talk to me and when to ask questions. No, we get along really well and that's good. And then I have some servers that I bring on for certain events and I have bartenders that I bring on for certain events.
So sous chef and you're like what, head chef? Executive chef. So like, what does a sous chef do? I hear that a lot.
Yeah,
As I watch Food Network and stuff, I see sous chef. Like what's their
So
job?
the sous basically takes over can take over for the exec when he's not there and be the top person on running the show. When the exec chef is there, the sous is basically my second in command, my vice president, as you would say. He does anything I need him to do when it's just two of us like that. He may help grab things from that, but he may help expo things, which expo means get everything, plate everything, get everything ready for presentation. So he does, like, we do a lot of hors d'oeuvre events where it's what I call elevated hors d'oeuvres. And he makes everything in the end look very pretty and by my standard and how I want things to look. So I check to make sure everything is cooked right and good to go, set it out, and then he dresses them up, gets them out. Sometimes we flip that role and he'll be grabbing things from the oven, putting things in the oven, doing whatever prep to get things ready to go in the oven or whatever it is we're doing for that particular event.
Where did you go to school for that?
CIA, Culinary Institute of America.
Okay. And like, how long was that program?
2 years.
2 years?
Yeah. They have several different programs. I started to do the nutrition side of it as well. But ended up not by choice, just from timing standpoint. I wanted to get going on where I was in my career at that point. So
did you have you always liked to cook? Like, were you like good at it and you just got even better? Or were you kind of like, so, and it's just like elevated you?
I like to think I was good at it. I don't know. I wasn't as good at it as I am now, but I used to, when I was a little kid, I used to love making omelets. I would make omelets for my family like every weekend. We even had, I don't know how I remember the story because I was pretty young. We had a guy coming to paint our garage and I made up an omelet. It was like during the week when parents were at work and, I'm Gen X. So this is, in the 80s when kids stayed home alone. Can't do that anymore. But yeah, I made an omelet for this guy, took it out to him while he's painting our freaking house and fed him breakfast.
Wow.
I just for whatever reason love doing omelets, and I was very good at omelets. I still am, but that's kind of like, I don't know why, that just kind of fueled it. And then my grandma and I would do certain things together, or my one grandma on my dad's side, my other grandma on my mom's side, she would do other stuff, and I just learned. And I even learned from my grandpa. We did a lot of fishing, so I learned how to fillet fish and how to do a fish fry. Being from Wisconsin, fish fries are like church to us on Friday nights. They're sacred. So, it was a lot of different people really kind of inspiring me with different things. My one grandma was German. My other grandma was Polish. So it was different ethnic foods from different regions. Then my stepmom, who's Sicilian. So I learned a lot of Italian and the different regions of Italy, which has different primary food items. So it's just been a lot of different people influencing me.
Wow. Yeah, I'm curious. So like, because you're at that next level, you're doing executive level stuff, like you're a private chef. Like, for someone maybe who is just looking into it and wants to get into it, like, is there like decent income? Is it a lot of hours? Like, what is that lifestyle like for someone who maybe just is wanting to explore that? So
before COVID, executive chefs could make a really, really good living in restaurants.
Yeah.
Since COVID, from what I've seen, I don't really look into it too much anymore. I did when I first came down here and was trying to figure out where I was going to take my career next. And salary for chefs just like got cut in half.
Wow.
And I don't know if that's rebounded since then. Again, because I don't look at it, but on the private side, and this is a big reason why I chose to stay on the private side. Yeah, there's a lot more money involved because there's a lot less overhead. You don't have the brick and mortar building. You don't have all the staff. So yeah, just the ability to make more money is there. However, the flip side of that is somebody coming right out of school, I would never, ever, ever tell them to go, oh yeah, just go be a private chef. Yeah, you'll do great. I would never do that because they will fail miserably. You have to start in a restaurant. You have to make your bones, more or less. You've got to learn not so much about the food, or I mean that's part's important too, but learning the pace, learning the stress, learning how to get yelled at. And I'm not talking about getting yelled at from like a Chef Ramsay on Hell's Kitchen type thing, is it? That really very rarely exists in most restaurants. It's more of from my experience, that's more of a television thing than a real life thing. Sorry if I just spoiled that for tons of people. And I know Gordon Ramsay is not really like that. He's actually a very nice guy. You've got to learn effectively how to run a kitchen before you can just go and do this on your own. There are so many little things, and I wouldn't have realized that, to be honest with you, until I started doing like, thank God I did this in this kitchen. Thank God I did this at this restaurant. Thank God I learned from this chef this trick, or things like that. Because you learn stuff in school, but you don't really learn how to be a chef in school. You learn certain things about being a chef in school, but you learn about being a chef being in a restaurant.
Yeah.
Without question.
Do you have any like celebrity clients or any high profile?
I do.
Yeah. That's
several.
Cool.
Well, not okay. I had several. Some that aren't in Arizona anymore. But I have a few that I'll keep to myself. I don't want. I don't want to call them out.
No. I respect that. I was just curious.
A few athletes and a couple other people.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Are they like regular? Like, do you go all the time or?
So. I don't want to say, yes, they are. I'm sorry. I was going to say what sports they were in, but I don't want to do that. I'll say I have a hockey player who's extremely nice. A really, really great guy. Haven't seen him in a minute, but really, really nice guy. And I have a couple other ones that are really cool. One in particular, him and his whole family are just so extremely nice and down to earth, and will sit there and just have conversations with me while I'm cooking. And I love them to death.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. Like, what is it like on your schedule? Is it kind of irregular for you? Like, because obviously if it's like a dinner time thing, you're probably out cooking dinner for them, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how does that affect your life?
It's kind of funny because we just had a social media post today about do I eat fast food? And my answer is yes, I do eat fast food, and it's usually when I'm on my way to a job. Because yes, I'm cooking dinner for people at 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And I'm cooking, I'm prepping all day, or doing whatever I need to do to get ready for an event. And I don't have time to eat. And I have this weird thing when I'm cooking, I don't get hungry. Like when I'm cooking for other people, I just do not get hungry, but it's the right before and the right after I do. So, I might prep all day and I'm like, I'm not hungry while I'm prepping, so I'm not eating anything. Part of that is because I'm testing things as I go along. So I am getting little bits of here and there, but I don't get like full on hungry. But then all of a sudden it'll hit me. So either on the way to an event or on the way back from an event, I'm rolling through some drive-through somewhere just to get something quick and make sure I have some energy and blood sugar doesn't drop too low.
What's your go-to? Like,
that was the question she asked today. It's so if it's quick and in a hurry, I did number 7 from McDonald's, 2 cheeseburgers, just because it's quick, it's easy, it doesn't make a mess on my chef's jacket, or I can eat it quick and it hits the spot. I guess if I'm not in a hurry, Culver's.
Oh wow,
yeah, I love Culver's.
Okay.
Oh, good greasy butter burger. They're a Wisconsin company, so it's a Wisconsin thing. And the frozen custard is
awesome. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Frozen custard is better than ice cream.
Yeah.
Way better.
Nice.
Yeah.
Were there any other risks that you took, or any big moves outside of that initial, like, I'm moving to Arizona move?
Like in my lifetime, or
Yeah, in your life, or in your career.
I think, joining, giving up the comfort of a job in law enforcement to join the military was a risk, because it was also a very hectic time, post just after 9/11. We were just starting to go into Afghanistan and Iraq and start wars. So joining the military in a time of war, or time of conflict, because they were never actually declared wars, but that's an unknown kind of thing. Especially, I was a little bit older. I was 22 or 23 at the time, so I'm going into basic training with a bunch of 18-year-olds, which doesn't seem like much now, but when you're back then, that's a big thing, so that was definitely a risk. And I was engaged to be married when I decided, hey, I'm going to join the military, and had to get her on board with that. And then, we got married right before I went. So it was, that's a lot of stress and strain on a marriage, and ended up, not being so great. So, but I would think that would be a pretty big risk at that time in my life.
Yeah. What branch?
Army.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. There's so many people now, like, that were not around that in 2001, that, I'm like, I talk to people that were born after that now. Yeah. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And it's hard to, I think for some of those people to kind of wrap their heads around being in that moment and making that decision.
Yeah.
Because I was like 18 when that happened, and I can, I wasn't, at that point to go and join at that point, because I was like severely overweight and gaining a little bit more weight now, but I did lose weight and I did join.
Don't we all? After 40, it's over.
Yeah. But I remember getting calls from recruiters, and I didn't at that time make that choice. I did it, I joined 10 years later, but at that point, stuff's gone, stuff's not happening. So it's like, just a lot of respect for people like you in that moment who said, yes, like, I'm going to go over there. I'm going to do stuff, and it's just hard to kind of get people now to see that, because we're not in a position like that. Yeah. There's not a big major thing that happened where, like, at that magnitude. Yeah. And it's just
of 9/11. No. Yeah. I mean, nothing.
Because,
and you don't even truly appreciate or respect it unless you actually saw it happen, or, not necessarily in person, but on TV, and watching it unfold that morning. And I'll never forget that morning as long as I ever live.
Yeah. And it's just interesting, because if we talk about, like, bold moves and, like, risks and everything, like, no one knew what was going to happen after that. Like, no one could see the next, the immediate, like, that's a risk, and it's just, man.
Is there more coming was always the big question.
Yeah.
Where are they going to hit next?
Yeah.
How are they going to hit next? Because there were all those fears, trains and semis, getting parked over, or a semi getting parked over the Hoover Dam, I remember, was a big thing. And hats off to our federal law enforcement, because they snuffed out a lot of things that people don't even know about or realize. Seattle was a big one on New Year's that same year, that there was supposed to be a big thing on New Year's Eve at the Space Needle in Seattle, and the FBI snuffed it out. Yep.
Wow. See, like, there's stuff that we don't even know about.
I know, right?
And that just the common person has no clue. Like, that's wow, that's amazing. Yeah, when I was in ROTC, like, it was a little bit later, because I did an SMP program. It was like a simultaneous membership program. So like I joined the Guard, went to basic training, came back, and then I was like an S1. I was like human resources, but at the same time I was doing ROTC. And then during that time, they go through all the vignettes. They talk about all the different scenarios that happen and kind of train you to be a leader. But it was just interesting to see some of hear some of the stories of going in the first time and like not even having like appropriate like combat gear, like people taking their flak vests and like putting them on the doors to, because there were no up armored Humvees going in, like they were just the canvas side doors or something. Like, like just stuff like hearing stuff like that, or plywood, like, putting plywood on the side, like that, it just boggles my mind, like just going, like having people go into that scenario like that.
Right.
And we kind of take it for granted because like, when I went in, like everything was all up armored and everything was all, you got all this, stuff and you're thinking, oh yeah, you're going to get sent somewhere and they're going to give you all this stuff. Right. And like, nope, there was none of that.
We weren't, I know, we, in our flak jackets, we didn't have the heavy duty trauma plate. The military didn't have anymore. They were out. We couldn't get them. My father bought mine for me because they weren't cheap. And it's just a big steel plate that you put in.
The Sappy plates?
Yeah, the front one and the back one. And man, my dad paid for mine because at that time we just didn't have them.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was military police. We weren't high up on the totem pole because you're not in combat situation. Like we're combat MP, we're combat trained MPs. That is actually we're their MPs are going into places before most other people are because they're securing the area so other people can come in and doing convoy escorts and all that stuff. So we did all that. We were training for it, and we didn't have any of it. So a lot of our parents, if we couldn't afford it, or paying for ours, and you don't make much in the military.
Yeah,
I think I was making like $13,000 a year. Wow. People don't even realize how low the pay is. I mean, yes, there were some other benefits. I was married, so I had a BAH, basic allowance for housing. I forgot what the food one was called. BHI?
The BAS, basic allowance for subsistence.
Okay. Yeah, BAS, right. And there was another one, BAH or BHI. I don't remember what that one, or something like that. I forgot what there was 3 of them. I remember there was 3 of them. So I got some extra money that way, but that, covered our rent because I was stationed in Fort Lewis in Washington before it became Joint Base.
Lewis McChord.
Joint Base McChord. Lewis McChord. It was just Fort Lewis at the time. And we lived, there was housing on base, but not it was, you're waitlisted for it. And it's kind of a good thing. I didn't want to live on post. So we had an apartment about 30 miles away in Olympia. Maybe it wasn't that far, but it felt like it was about 30 miles a long time ago now. So that paid for our rent basically. And I don't even know if it covered all of it. My now ex-wife, she was a nurse at the Army base, hospital Madigan. And so she at least made some money, which was good. Cause we don't get paid squat.
Yeah.
At least back then, I don't know how much it's changed. It's been a long time, so I don't think it's changed much. Yeah, right, for sure.
Oh man, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Good times. Good times.
Yeah. Like it.
I miss it. I miss a lot of aspects of it.
Yeah.
I miss the camaraderie. I love the pressure, and I think maybe that's what makes me a good chef, or enjoy being a chef, is because I love the pressure. I love the chaos.
Yeah.
My world is a lot of organized chaos. My wife hates that. My wife now hates that. I love it. I thrive on it. I really do.
Yeah. It's funny. Like as much as, at times when you're saying like, I hate this, or like, I can't, I can't stand it. I wouldn't change anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I would still make the decision that I did to join. And it just, there's, like you said, there's something about the camaraderie and the things that you learn. It changes you,
It does.
And it I think for the better.
Yeah. For sure.
But
the respect level, I can see a military person a mile away, just by the way we carry ourselves, the way we walk very, upright and attentive and not slouched or lazy or whatnot. We're constantly aware of our surroundings. You know, you can just spot a military person anywhere. At least I can. And I know people say to me all the time, you know, just by the fact I still say sir and ma'am, and, you know, some people call that Midwest nice. For me, it's who I am and how I am. My father was military. My grandfathers were military. So it's kind of been in my family, and it's the way I was raised. It's the way I raised my kids. And it's just, I think, the right way to be around people and to treat people. And just the way I talk and carry myself, everybody can say, right, well, the haircut, you know, that too, every 3 days. So I love that the military instilled that in me. It's really helped me be better at what I do now than I ever thought, you know, I would get. You know, I didn't cook in the military, but being in the military has made me a better chef just because of all the other things that go into what it takes to be a chef, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if you'd want to cook in the military.
No, I wouldn't. No. Cooking in the big vats of, 150-gallon pots. No, thanks. I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it wasn't bad. I mean, a lot of people think, oh, you're eating gruel. No, Fort Lewis was terrible.
Yeah.
Mostly was not very good. The breakfast was good. You can't screw up breakfast.
Yeah.
Breakfast is really hard to screw up.
Yeah.
But we would go up to McCord and eat at the Air Force Base because the food was 10 times better at McCord, and they had better offerings. Like we get steak and lobster for like $5, which was another beauty part.
Yeah. Air Force bases, man.
Yeah.
They do it right.
Yeah.
The food. I'll tell you
yes.
that.
Yeah.
Man.
And their PT was a lot easier.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm going to upset a couple of my Air Force trainers that are going to hear this.
I think they have something where you can make up your own PT test. Yeah. You can choose your own.
Yeah. I don't know if that's true anymore, but yeah, it used to be. And they rode bikes and instead of running. We have us and the Marines that are run. Not in the Navy and not in the and not knocking them. All the smart guys go in the Air Force. That's the smart people group. I always joke around with my Marine friends and say I was going to go in the Marines, but they told me I was too smart, so I went Army.
My dad, he was he's a Marine. He went in the Marine Corps and went to Vietnam like for a couple of years, and I remember I was telling him I was thinking about joining, and he was like, "Join the Air Force." And I was like, yeah. And at the time, I was too big for the Air Force. They wouldn't take me, and I was working my way down. And Army National Guard took me because I was a little bit older. So that's where I went. But it was funny because I still remember too. I went to LA Fitness, and I was like going to get a personal trainer to help get myself going. And the personal trainer happened to be an Air Force person, and I was telling him I was going to join the Army, and he just flat out said, "What? He's stupid or something." I was like, come on. He gave me the recruiter card, and of course, I followed up on it.
Yeah.
But of course, weight standards, there was nowhere close to doing that. And it's just interesting.
It's kind of funny how people that weren't involved always think that we all hate each other, like the different branches. And we might kid each other and shoot, have nicknames for each other, chair force and jarheads and whatever else. Man, but when you're standing shoulder to shoulder with them, and we love each other. I mean, there's a deep respect. It doesn't matter what branch you are. I don't know about Space Force; they came in after. I don't know where the respect level is there, but the rest, no, we all get along. And I worked with some great people from each of the 4 branches in different aspects, and so much respect for them.
Yeah, we. Because I do public affairs, and we work with like the air public affairs side every once in a while, and sometimes they'll hook us up and let us go over their base whenever they're doing like some breakfast stuff or whatever. Send our troops over there to hook it up. So it's cool. I'm curious. So like when you do your events, and you do like keep them like quality events, like. Are you able to kind of give like a range of what someone might be looking to, to shell out for like an event?
Sure. So like on the private dinner side, so a lot of it, I have what I don't do standard set pricing like, you pick this and it's this price, because I try to make it as good of a situation for my customers. And if you have 12 people versus 8 people, I can bring the cost down a little bit. The more people you have, I can bring the cost down a little bit because it's more economical for me when I'm making my food orders. And I want it to be a good experience. So again, I think I'm very, very fair on my pricing as compared. I know what some of my competitors charge, and I roll my eyes at it. And I'm not going to call anyone out, but it's like, how do you get away? I mean, how do you sleep at night doing that? I understand it's a business. I understand we want to make money. But some of it's, for me, it's more about the experience that I'm creating. I get a lot of joy out of that. And I know that sounds sappy and cheesy and whatever else, it's true. It really is. I love seeing what food does for people and how it brings people together, how it creates happiness, how families come and have a blast and they laugh and they cry sometimes. And food brings everybody together. Think of any big event in your life that you've been to. Has there been food there? There's always food there. So I think people underestimate the power of food and what it can do. So I try to create that experience for people without killing them on the bill. But yes, it is a business. I do, I have my family to take care of as well. And I have my bills to pay and everything else. So yeah, we do it, but I try to structure my billing the way based on what you're ordering. So an average 4-course dinner for us is around anywhere from 140 to 175 a person. But there's a lot of varying factors in there. Holidays, obviously, there's a little more cost on a holiday, which I don't even know what holidays are anymore as far as what it's like to spend with my own family, but that's fine. I knew what I was signing up for. I actually like working on holidays. It's kind of fun. So yeah, anywhere from like 140 to 175. If we're doing an elevated hors d'oeuvre experience, it can be anywhere from, if it's a really big group, I can usually get the price down to $35, $40, $50 a person, and then upwards of $100 a person, depending on what you want to do. Wow. So and we have big menus that people can make their selections from, kind of build their own menu based on what we offer. And then I love doing special requests if somebody has a childhood favorite or something their grandma used to make. I actually have a really cool story about that if I can.
Yeah.
Okay. So I had a couple hire me to do a wedding, a backyard wedding. It was like 15, 16 people. It was up in the Red Mountain Ranch area. And I talked to him on the phone, and the groom is from Australia, and the girl who's from Mesa originally, but has been living in Australia. And I'm talking to her, and she's got an Australian accent. So I didn't realize that she was actually from Mesa. And I found out, oh yeah, I've just been living in Australia so long, I now have a Australian accent. I'm like, okay, cool. But they had asked me to do something called an Australian party pie. I've never heard of this. Didn't know what it was. I'm Google searching, trying to figure out what this is. And the guy had kind of told me what it was. Basically, it's basically like a pot pie, but with a little bit of a twist, a little more elegant than the standard, Marie Callender's chicken pot pie. And I have a friend who's a chef who's Australian. Actually, he's from New Zealand, but I called him and I said, hey, this customer asked me for this. Am I in over my head? He goes, oh, dude, no, you got this. It's super easy, and kind of gave me an idea. He said, here, I'll send you my recipe. Just do what you do with it, which means in our parlance is change it. Take mine, but change it. Don't steal mine. Make it your own, which we all do. We don't want to take other people's recipes and just sell them off as our own. We always put a twist onto it or do something a little bit different. So I took his just to get an idea. I made a couple, and I'm like, oh man, this is really good. And I'm like, but I don't know what one really tastes like. I've never been to Australia, so I've never, never tried one. And so I was very nervous, very, concerned about this. So I make these party pies, and I go to the wedding and I serve them as the appetizer. And the groom comes in like 5 minutes later. He goes, dude, this is better than restaurant quality. He says, this is one of the best I've ever had. He says, you've never made these before? I said, nope. this is the first one. I said, first one for a customer anyway. He goes, Jesus, these are great. I'm like, thank God to my friend. You know, like, I appreciate it. You know, we just went on and, you know, it's nice getting those compliments, but I was kind of like lucky at the same time of, you know, there's some just skill involved as far as understanding how things come together. But it was fun to be able to do that, doing something I've never done before. And, you know, so I love getting special requests, but I have limitations too. I know what's in my wheelhouse. I know what's not in my wheelhouse. I don't do sushi. I've gotten that request a ton to do sushi. Oh. I've just never been interested in learning how to do sushi. It's really not that hard. I could do it if I wanted to. I've seen it done 100 times. So, you know, I understand the basic concept of it. Just don't have really any interest in doing it. I don't do Indian food. I don't do certain cuisines that just, I wasn't trained in them. They're not my specialty. So I don't want to take something really good and screw it up.
Yeah.
This is really what it comes down to.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Does that include the cost of food, or is that the extra? Like
No. That's all in. That's all in except for tax. And then, I'm in no way am I bashing competitors or anything like that, but I know a lot of my competitors, they automatically add in gratuity. A lot of restaurants do too. If you have groups of 6 or 8 or 10 or more or whatever, they automatically in gratuity. Mm-hmm. That defeats the purpose of a gratuity in my world. I don't understand why places do that. I can understand if it's, our servers are getting shafted left and right. Okay, maybe I can get that. But to me, the point of a gratuity is earning it. And I don't want one if I did not earn it. And so I'm not going to automatically add one in. And I tell my customers that right up front. So here's your price. Tax is not included and gratuity is not included. If you feel we earn one, you're welcome to add on to that. But that's up to you. And I'm dead serious about it. You know, have we ever not gotten any before? Yes, because a lot of times I don't think people realize either that it's not part of it or that they've never had that kind of experience before. So they don't know what to do. Yeah. But most times we get taken care of very well, and I have some very good customers.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that sounds fair. I mean, like, I have a little bit of experience hunting around for like caterers, because like I was in ROTC back in the day, and I remember we would have, these military balls, once a semester, we have to put together, and it was a big, formal thing. And I know catering was part of it, and I remember having to like go through and find caterers and or approve some lists and stuff. And man, for like 300 some odd cadets, you're looking at when we did it, it was like, man, like a $15,000 bill.
Oh yeah, for that many. Thing. Yeah, I got asked to do one at Luke Air Force Base, or I got asked to submit a bid for it through a friend who's very connected at Luke, and I saw the number of people. I'm like, I said, I would love to do this, and in my old life I could have done this. Now I said, I just don't want to do it. I want to do it because it's military, and I'd love to give them a really, really good price, because I do offer a nice discount to all of my first responders and military. So if anybody hears this wants to hire me, and they're first responder or military, or has a cousin that was in the military 20 years ago, let me know, and I'll take care of you.
Cool.
And I really wanted to do it, but it was just, I knew it was outside of my realm of being able to provide the experience I want them to have. So I unfortunately had to pass on it.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. So how do people get a hold of you? Like, what's the best way to reach out if someone wants to?
Yeah. So our webpage, az48catering.com. Facebook is AZ48 Catering, Instagram AZ48 Catering. There's contact buttons on all of those. Or you can email us at info@az48catering.com, and that's the number 4 and the number 8. And you can call us at 602-736-7906.
Sweet. And I always like to end our segments just like with some quick fire questions. So just some quick questions here. What is your favorite book, podcast, or resource that inspires boldness?
What were the book, podcast, or what?
Yeah, favorite book, a podcast, or just like any resource, like an online resource, book, magazine, anything like that, that just kind of inspires you to be bold.
There's a book by Vince Lombardi, former head coach of the Green Bay Packers way back in the 60s, with the Super Bowl trophies named after. I don't remember the name of the book, but I have it in my man cave. And that's a book I like to read a lot, or I used to read it a lot. I still reference it from time to time. Just his mantra of coaching and treating his players. It kind of is. It's inspirational for me, I guess, when I need to pick me up when I feel like things aren't going the way I want them to work wise. I like to jump into that book.
Okay. What's the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
It wasn't directly to me, but it's a general one. It's you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Wayne Gretzky. It just makes me realize I got to take the chance. If I don't take the chance, if I don't ask for the yes, I'm never going to get it.
And just one word, how would you encourage someone to be bolder today?
Confidence.
Nice. Pretty straightforward. Yeah, makes sense. Now, is there anything that we didn't cover that you want to cover before we wrap up?
I don't think so. I get a little long-winded too. I'm sorry. I apologize.
No, you're good, man. Sweet. Well, Nate, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. I'm really glad we got to check out your story and some of the risks that you've taken. And we're definitely going to put the links to your website and how to get a hold of you online so we can get people your way, because I think everyone should get a chance to taste some of the food that you make. It sounds pretty good.
Great pictures on our Facebook and Instagram, and always happy to send people more if they want to see some. So yeah, excited about what we do.
Awesome. Well, that's going to be a wrap on this week's episode of Bold Moves Podcast. And until next time, we are out.
Thanks for watching the Bold Moves Podcast. For more episodes, visit our website and follow us on social media. Keep making bold moves.